pledges and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you pray with me? God, as we come to you, God, we come to you this evening for another meeting of the Carl Junction Board of Alderman. And we ask that you would bless our time and watch over us and help us to promote justice and wisdom for our community. It's in your son's most holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Rick. Next is the agenda. The comments, corrections, discussion, or changes to the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as type. Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by, was it David File? All those in favor, please signal by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative. The agenda is approved. Next is the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of the previous meetings on November 19th and approval of disbursements. Any comments, changes, or comments about that?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative, the consent agenda is approved. Next is public forum. Anyone wishing to speak at public forum?
Don't all jump for once.
If no one wishes to speak on public forum, last call for public forum. Very well then. We'll move right along. Next is a P&Z case that we adjourned last time, which we're going to reopen. It's a rezoning of the request of 101 Cambridge, MIBSI Investments LLC. I will open this as a public hearing right now. Steve, do you want to make any comments before we go to the thing?
No, this is, if you remember, this is because we had nobody to support this. The owner was not here at the time, wasn't able to make it because of illness, so he's here now.
All right. Anyone who's speaking in favor of this rezoning request at 101 Cambridge, please come up, state your name, address, and all that stuff.
My name is Charles Nolan. Address is 6110 Holly Road, Neosho, Missouri. What I do is I buy dilapidated properties in areas and I fix them up and try to make them to where they're livable and affordable for people. This one I've done it several times throughout the 4-state area. This one here, it's my fault. I was going through divorce and the wife was in charge of the paperwork and I thought everything was done. It was not, so it's my fault. I should have double checked that and make sure it's taken care of. I went through and fixed up the entire house. It was pretty rough beforehand. I figured it was an eyesore to the neighborhood there. And now at this point it's rented to 2 tenants and I just kind of want to be here for the tenants and try to make sure that they don't have any issues or anything else. And I guess I don't really know what else to say to it.
Any questions? I guess last time we had people show up opposed to you.
And I don't know who would show up and be opposed. The neighbors, I was very generous to them and everything else. I've made sure that they weren't disrupted. Went through and cleaned up their yards for them and stuff out of there that they had issues with when I was doing it. And I've done this before. 312 Manel Street is a house, and like I got pulled all the permits and did everything exactly the way it was supposed to be done on that one. Like I said, this is the first one that I've had issues with. So I don't know what I could do to make the neighbors happy or be okay with it or what issues they had with it. Both the tenants, they don't cause any issues. They keep the property clean and nice, and the property is in a lot better shape than what it was before.
What was the condition of the home when you bought it? Was it designed for 2?
So there was already 2 living areas. There was already a full kitchen and bathroom and bedroom. So one of the sides, it already had a porchway going up to the right-hand side, and it entered there. It had a refrigerator, a whole kitchen set up. All that was done was a apartment wall with split studs and insulation put in a hallway to separate it off. Everything else was already set up the way it was. The house was just painted. The outside fixed up a lot of trash taken out of there. I think there's close to 75 tires in the garage, and it was just overgrown and just awful. But as far as the house itself, that the wall in the hallway was the only thing that was put up. Everything else was already set up as two separate areas. It's the largest house in the neighborhood. I think they did a complete addition onto it. I think it was 2014, if I remember right, when it was added onto, where they built a covered garage and added the second living area.
Okay, but it was never zoned for two families. It was always zoned for single family.
Yes.
So now it seems like an error on your part that you're coming here, and this, in my opinion, does not meet any criteria to be changed for zoning.
And I fully understand that that's my error.
You said you did what, a 312 panel? Is that a duplex or was
It's a
that?
single family home. I had to go through, that one was also in rough shape, but I had to go through and have it rewired. Just complete total redo of the inside of that house. And like that one there, you can check with Greg Coates. I pulled all the permits. Well, my wife did make sure everything was taken care of just the way it was supposed to be done.
Steve, what was the reason that planning and zoning decided they didn't want to do this? You know, you were there, right?
Yeah, I was there. I think probably what it was, inferring what the other members had is, I don't think he wasn't at the planning and zoning meeting either, because it was on Monday and then the council meeting was right away on Tuesday, so.
Which I don't know if I didn't, I wasn't informed of the planning and zoning. It was just by chance that I heard of the meeting the next day, and I was able to get a phone call in. I wish I had COVID and wasn't able to make it that day. If I had known the planning and zoning meeting was happening and my thing was up to be looked at, I would have been there. My apologies on that.
Since he wasn't there to speak his case, it was strictly based on the residents that were there, that did not want it.
Did we send out a notification on the PNC to the same address that's on file?
I just have a problem with so many neighbors that are opposed to it. If it were just one, it might be different, but there's several that are opposed, and the Planning and Zoning Commission denying it also just kind of makes it look like they have done their due diligence on it, and that's what their decision is.
Planning and zoning cases are a little different for the commission than they are for you guys. Planning and zoning, they don't have to take into account the emotional or theirs is more straightforward, fact-based. You guys get to hear the political and the emotional and all of that and make decisions off of both of them.
So what is if we don't approve it, and you already have it rented to two different tenants,
Yes.
what happens then?
One tenant's gonna have to leave. It's single family. And then at that point, he's in violation of P&Z code and the ticket could be written for it.
To the family or
Single family.
to the family?
And the ticket would be issued to the other. Yeah. And then he's gotta go see the judge.
I'll ask you, Mr. Talley, since he had COVID when they were able to attend the last meeting or the planning and zoning meeting, Should we,
There is,
could we have another planning and zoning meeting which is able
there
to attend?
there is another option available to him, and that's a special use permit, which I'd have to go back and look and see, but a special use permit would allow it to stay because you can put dates or qualifications, that type of thing on a special use permit. You could allow him, and it would go back to planning and zoning like you're suggesting, but that would, what I can imagine is planning and zoning could say, will allow you the two residents up until one of them moves out. At that time, the special use permit goes away, and it reverts back to single family in a single dwelling.
And if I'm not mistaken, those have to be renewed each year.
And those have to be renewed every year.
So P&Z would have the opportunity every year to check
Okay.
out
Okay,
and see if there were any changes.
So that's an option that he could use.
The board has the option of sending it back to planning and zoning.
okay.
I'm not gonna weigh in on the special use permit, that as a solution. It may be a solution, but probably needs to be looked at, by planning and zoning, before a decision. I wouldn't want you to rely on that, just based on off the cuff, suggestion. But, this is a public hearing, so after you conclude the public hearing, then the council needs to act in some fashion. There is an ordinance to rezone, but in lieu of that, you could entertain a motion to send it back for consideration of a special use permit.
Okay.
That's-
What do y'all think about that?
I'd recommend that.
It might be an option that maybe some of the people that were opposed to it might feel more comfortable, because if it was for
Yeah,
a year,
yeah.
they could see, rather than a permanent change, it would give them time to see
Could we
how it
not,
worked.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could we not vote on the ordinance that's before us and approve or deny it? And if it's denied, then it go back to planning and zoning for consideration of a special use permit? Because really at this point, the zoning is the question.
Yes, zoning's the question. And, yeah, it could be. You'd just have to make application for a special use permit.
Yeah, that would terminate our current jurisdiction over it. He'd have to make a new application for a special use permit then, totally independent of these proceedings. If you were to go ahead and vote on the ordinance and reject the ordinance. The other suggestion was an alternative to that. That is to retain jurisdiction and send this case back for consideration of a special use permit. So you can go either way.
So
If we-
when we do that, when the ordinance comes up,
Well, but if we just send it back, does he have to pay all of the fees?
Yes.
Again, no matter what we do, he would still have to pay like it was a new. Or if we sent the case back, it would still be the same case.
What's the fee?
Well, that was the idea, is send it back as the same case.
And then, because if it's the same case, he wouldn't have to.
If it went back as the same case,
You wouldn't have to pay the fee.
planning and zoning could recommend it instead of a rezoning as a special use permit.
Yes.
I just would hate, I mean, if we can do it somehow so he doesn't have to pay all the fees again, since we can't guarantee an outcome. It may be the same thing, and I'd hate for him to have to pay all the fees. If we could just send it back and
I concur.
so when the ordinance comes up, what do we need to do? Table it?
If the ordinance comes up, it's gonna be the second reading.
We don't know what's gonna happen when the ordinance is considered. The zoning request could be approved. Change could be approved.
That is true.
And if it's not, he still has recourse. It's not.
Well, you,
If at the conclusion of this public hearing, there is a motion made to refer it back to planning and zoning for consideration of a special use permit, then when the ordinance comes up, you would table the ordinance.
Okay.
If those things occur. That's-
Okay. So we're still in the, all those in favor of this. Any other comments in favor of it?
I'll just throw out for what it's worth. I mean, there is precedent within the city of R2 being right next to R1. I think West Farbrook Drive in particular, you have rather expensive homes right next to duplexes. So it's not uncommon within this city. And we either need people that are willing to buy and fix up these dilapidated houses, or we need to be getting into mode where we start tearing them down. So if we've got people that are willing to do things with them, I think we should encourage that where it makes sense to do so.
Does there need to be any sort of inspection before something would change zones?
We
Do you
don't,
feel this home is up to code?
so when the full remodel was redone, it was up to code. Our fault breakers, everything in the house has been updated because when they do that, we have to go through and make sure the inspector comes through and make sure everything's up to code. Everything has Romex wiring, PEX plumbing, so when I went through, I didn't have to change any of that. It was all just putting lipstick on a pig, you might say.
So when I drove by the house on the back, there's a second floor sliding glass door with nothing below it, no balcony, no steps, no nothing. That doesn't seem up to code.
That door is sealed off from the inside, so that way it's actually, instead of it just being a door, because it's trimmed out around and there's double locks on each side of that, so that way they can't be opened up. It's more of a window for per se, the little kitchen area there.
Did you,
Because it was two French doors. If I went through and changed out the door, then I would have had to pull extra permits and stuff like that, where if I leave the door in standing condition and just sealed it off where it's no longer usable and can't be opened up, then it's just two glass windows right there.
It cannot be open.
It cannot be opened.
Are there appropriate entry and exits for each unit? Like if there was a fire?
Yes,
Well,
there
if
is
there's
a
fire on one exit,
ingress
then
and
another
egress
exit?
for each one. So because I rent everything through Pro 100, they actually make sure everything has appropriate ingress and egress on everything. It has wired smoke alarms throughout the whole place, so that way if one side even catches on fire, the other side alarm goes off. Everything with that is up to code and taken care of. Pro 100 won't let me rent it unless it is up to code, especially fire code.
when you remodeled, did you pull any building permits?
So, thought my wife had went through and double checked everything. I don't think any building permits needed to actually even be pulled because there was no structural change on the outside or inside to it except for adding the false wall in the hallway, which I don't know if I should have pulled a permit for that. I may have had to, but I don't believe so because there was no structural change to the building at all.
Probably was under the dollar amount one.
Dollar amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that dollar amount would have been the only thing that, wouldn't anything that
And if he did it himself, it would probably came under the level of that.
$1,000.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of this at the public hearing? If not, then I would like to know if anyone would like to speak against this rezoning request.
I'd like to speak against it. I live in that subdivision. And I hate to see going from R1 to R2, setting a precedence. And what he talks about was a mother-in-law room. Years back, I knew the people that owned that house. I just don't want to see it go to house across the street from me. It's got a 4-bedroom right now that they can do the same thing.
Please note that was Michael Moss. Mike,
107 York Drive.
thank you, sir. Anything else against? If not, I will close the public hearing.
Before we close it, do we need a motion if we want a motion, or can we do it after it's closed?
You
No,
have
after you close.
to close the public hearing, yeah. Okay, gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I would like to move that we refer it back to planning and zoning for a second hearing to give him a chance to speak and to check on a special use permit, get their recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Bob McAfee.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Does that motion include the motion to table the
Yes.
ordinance until it comes back to
Yes.
the board?
Yes, it does.
And to table the ordinance rezoning 101 Cambridge. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We have 6 in the affirmative, opposed, same sign. 2 against. The motion is approved. We're sending the case back to planning and zoning, and the ordinance on rezoning, it's been tabled. Thank you. Next is ratify the mayor's emergency declaration for the UV light disinfection system at the wastewater treatment plant.
I make a motion that we ratify the mayor's emergency declaration for the UV light disinfection system at the wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
Motion by David Powell, second by Walter Hayes, that we ratify my emergency declaration for the UV light disinfection system at the wastewater treatment plant. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative. Thank you very much for approving my emergency declaration. Next is ordinances. An ordinance approving the MOU with Carl Junction R1 schools for school resource officers. Second reading.
I move we put this ordinance on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rhoda Trench, put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving memorandums of understanding by and between the Carl Junction R1 School District and the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, providing the terms and conditions for the city to provide a school resource officer to the school district in accordance with RSMO section 162.245. 162.215.1, and authorizing the city administrator and chief of police to execute said memorandums of understanding.
Is there any further discussion?
Where do we stand on this now? And I'm hoping that Dr. Pyle can stay since he has information germane to the discussion.
We, you guys approved the signing of the basic one at the last meeting, and so that's been signed by everybody and sent. I talked to Dr. Cook, and he is comfortable with that running through the end of the school year. School board has not had another meeting yet. I'm not sure when that one is.
December 16th will be the next meeting.
Yeah, and whether it's on their agenda or not, I don't know. They probably haven't produced an agenda yet for it, but we're covered through the end of the school year. Allows the school district to do their due diligence on if they want one of our officers, or if they do not, if they want to hire 2 of their own, or however they handled it, however they want to. So that's where we are.
So what we approved last time is going to be in effect till the end of the year.
What was approved last time is an MOU that's required for the school district to commission their own police officer. So it defines if that happens, how the 2 parties cooperate in that arrangement.
Yes.
Because the city still has jurisdictional authority, and there are limitations on the school peace officers' powers. They can enforce things at school events, on school property, on school buses, but not elsewhere. And anything that's a felony or a criminal offense of a sexual nature, they have to refer to the Carl Junction Police Department for their investigation and handling of that matter.
But
So it's that what was approved is specific to
that.
that should it develop.
So what we've got in front of us we don't even know if the school wants. Is that right? Until they meet this. So we're looking at approving an
No,
agreement
this
they may
is-
not want.
No, this is the original agreement that the school brought to us that they wanted.
It's the same thing we looked at last time.
Sure, but if
And
they're
we-
not meeting until December 16th. So
This
they're,
is,
This just
There's
carries us
something-
on as normal until the end of this school year.
this still is exactly the way it was
Right.
in the original that the school brought to us, wanting to codify
so we're gonna codify what's in there
what
with no
we've been
changes
doing
at all.
historically. There's no changes to it. There's nothing else. It is how the school brought it to us, wanting us to look at. It's historically covers what we've been doing. It codifies what we would be doing for the rest of the school year.
And beyond, correct?
No.
No,
It just, so the part we have in front of us only takes us to the end of the school year. There's dates in here that just take us to the end of this school year.
it doesn't say dates in there. What it does, it says it is renewable every year.
Okay.
What happened is in working to establish the MOU that's already been approved that I described, it was discovered that there was not a formal MOU in place for what has been the past practices between the city and the school district with SROs. And the best practice is for there to be a formal MOU in place. So the work on one thing brought to light that we didn't have the other, and the intent was to have that in place. And it was structured to represent what has been practice up to this point. Continuing best practice would be for it to be looked at annually or periodically and reauthorized.
Does everybody understand? Any further discussion? Rick?
Just clarifying that, so in the school year, before the beginning of next school year, we have to review it again.
Yes.
And then at that time, if we wanted to discuss any changes, it would happen. But and this, just me speaking, I guess my opinion, is it seems to me that the school likes this agreement. This is how we've done it for years and years. They already have a relationship with the officers that we currently have there. And if we change things, if I speak in a term, maybe we can say something, I guess there's a chance for this anyway. We could lose two good officers that would want to go to a school resource officer job from our department. That's my understanding.
It's all hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
But yes, yeah, you are.
Hypothetical with
Hypothetical, they could cut an officer and
Can I?
Yes, Mr. Talley.
Just a minor. I think this agreement continues on. It's reviewed.
It's reviewed.
And it can be terminated on 60 days notice, but it's not by its own terms terminates.
No,
It does not do that.
it is a review.
It
Continues on.
continues on. And one other qualification, this was an attempt jointly by the school district and their attorney and the city and its attorney to codify the ongoing existing relationship. So it really wasn't just the school district presenting this. There was an attempt to mutually agree as to what the agreement that the parties didn't have in writing but were living by already, and put that in writing. That's what this agreement is.
And there was a fair amount of back and forth and
Yes, it was.
collaborative.
2 months back and forth, yes.
I don't know if it was too much, but
A lot.
well, I agree with everything Rick said. We've got to keep them in place. I would like to see both of them stay in place and have it the way it is, but that's going to be up to the school at the end of the school year. My only thing is, at the end of the school year, I would really like to see us sit down and look at the compensation. Because especially if we change the number of officers there, we're going to be responsible for all of the salary. It's really going to hit it even more. And my thing is, if we could just do something with the compensation going into the next school year to see what we can adjust maybe. I don't want to pull those officers out. They're good. They have a good relationship with those kids and the faculty. They're good officers. I'm just saying dollars and cents, we're going to have an impact. And I would just kind of like to leave that on the table so we can at least talk about it before the next school year.
Can I ask a technical question?
Certainly.
The title of the ordinance says it authorizes the chief of police. Does that cover the acting chief of police if the police chief is on medical leave?
I assume the acting chief of police will have all the powers of the chief of police, and he should act for the chief of police.
Any further discussion?
Maybe we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Was LaDonna Allen, who seconded it. No, second by Walter Hayes, who put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. In the affirmative, please vote electronically.
Well, they ain't blinking.
Well, we may go to roll call then.
Just vote, doesn't it?
No lights.
No lights.
Let's try it again.
Anybody have lights? We did it last time too, the same thing.
Nothing.
Here, I thought it was my malfunction last time, maybe it's not.
It's the latest fault. Very well then, let's have a roll call vote.
On me, yes. Bob McAfee,
Yes.
Rick Flynn,
Yes.
Roger Spencer.
Yes.
LaDonna Allen,
Yes.
David Fire,
I abstain.
Walter Hayes,
Yes.
Carol Walker.
Yes.
The ordinance passes with 7 affirmative and 1 abstention, and that is ordinance number,
2438.
thank you,
2431.
8. Next is reports, the administration report. You should have a copy of the administration report in front of you. Any comments or gripes to the city administrator?
Change on that at about 4:30 this afternoon. I got that stormwater, the DNR, the 2 extensions. Remember, the first extension was going to take it over the hedge. DNR told us, look, you've still got some money on there. Can you add something to that? Michael Keaton and I scrambled around, and so we will take it from West Bradbrook Lane and do improvements, channel improvements from West Bradbrook Lane into the park over to the trail. And the total for everything now comes up to $414,750.
And how much did we have available?
$414,750.
Every.
It's all DNR, ARPA money.
Will that take care of there on the trail that has washed out personal?
No, that's
No.
farther down.
It's further down.
No.
Jail take care of that.
You wouldn't know the stormwater passed through there.
Anything else for the city administrator? Nothing? Then we'll move right along. We'll go to department reports. Public Works. What do you guys got for Jay? The leaves I had in my front yard are gone.
Yeah, awesome. Did you like them back?
No.
You like some of mine?
Like, I'll bring you some.
You guys did a good job picking up leaves.
Yeah, they think the progress we started early, now they're all worried.
Oh, I'm sure they are. They're just a bunch of word words. Anything else for Jay? Yes, Carol.
There's a street sign on Burbrick and Walnut. And if you're going east, all you can see is the brick. The sign is bent, so you can't see the Burr part of the street name. So it needs, on Burbrick and Walnut. It just needs somebody with a hammer to straighten it back out. That's all I have.
Anything else for Public Works? If not, we'll move on to PD. Thing for PD. This is Chief, you want to say anything?
Anybody have any questions?
I was sad to see about Officer Bindle. Hopefully he's okay.
He's fine. He has an MRI tomorrow. I should know by Friday what course of treatment. It could be anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 to 6 months.
Did he fall off the drop too?
Well, he was chasing a juvenile, went up a rise,
Uh-huh.
and then it was not a gentle, it just dropped right off, and they both fell. But he was able to get up and catch
Yeah,
one
they
kid and caught the other one.
That's good.
Good for him. Hope he's-
How's Chief McCall doing?
Good, I talked to him just for about a minute today, and he seemed okay. He needs to rest, but
Yeah, good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. I guess, yeah, everything went okay then.
it did.
Great. That's really great. Anything else for PD? Very well, then we'll go to committee reports. Budget and Finance.
The only thing I would ask anybody on the budget committee and anybody that would have to attend, like the clerk and the administrator maybe, if you could look at Saturdays in February, and between now and the next meeting, maybe if you could email me days that you know you're not going to be available, so we could see if maybe it's an option to do a Saturday work session. But, so if everybody can go home and look at their
I will-
Archer.
I won't know until the archery
We understand
Just
that
a shot in
totally.
the dark at this point is what you're
Totally
saying?
understand.
Anybody that can though, so we can kind of have an idea if maybe that would even work as an option. But if you could email me maybe before the next meeting, so that way we know if we have to start scheduling the weekly torture sessions.
Anything else for budget? Very well, then, code and nuisance. Rick?
So we had a meeting at 6:39 to discuss changes to our golf cart code. And we recommended not making any changes at this time.
I didn't hear you. No,
We do not recommend to make any changes.
Anything else for code? Any comments? Okay, then we'll go to human resources.
No, wait.
You don't have a closed session?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay. Anything else for human resources? Very well then, public facilities. David?
I have nothing this evening, sir.
Anything for public resources? Public facilities and planning, rather? Economic development, Holly?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Anything for economic development? No? Very well then, we'll go to unfinished business. Carol?
Nothing, sir.
Walter?
No, sir.
David?
No, sir.
Devon?
Yes, I do. Last meeting, we had a resident bring up a street light that was out, which kind of led to some discussion. One of the things that was discussed was that when a resident called, they should have the number. I understand we need that number to give to Liberty, but I don't really know that should be the resident's responsibility if they give us the location. So with that being said, my husband and I went out 2 nights, drove around. We've identified over 60 streetlights between Ward 4, Ward 1, and just a portion of 2 that are not functioning. So we've got all the numbers, gave them to Steve. Steve, you forwarded to Liberty already, correct?
Yeah, they've already been out working on it.
So that's over 60, and we still have all of Ward 3 and half of Ward 2 that there were 7 streetlights or 7 lights out in one park. So I got with Elena and got some information on the rates that were charged, which for the LED, which I think the rates might be a little lower than some of the older because of the type of lighting. It's about $350, right around $350 a year charge. So just those 60 is $21,000 a year that we paid. Now they may have been out a month, they may have been out 2 years. We don't know. But that's $21,000 annually worth of lights that we've already identified.
Wait, it still pulls electricity if the light bulb's out?
We just pay a fee, an annual fee.
Flat rate.
They don't
Oh,
meter
okay.
them. So we're paying for lights that aren't working. So we're going back out. I think I let the assistant chief know already. We're going to be out the next couple nights to drive around and finish the inventory. So if you get any calls for suspicious activity, somebody driving around slowly, spotlighting poles.
In other words, if you hear any shots fired, don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, please respond. But what I would suggest, and I've had really good interaction and feedback from residents because I've put it out on my Alderman page to get some interaction with people, and they're sending me locations and stuff. And a lot of them are asking about additional lights and this and that. But what I have suggested is I would like to finish this, get everything in working order so that we know the lights are working, and then come up with a plan. City of Joplin has a place on their website that you can report a street light that's out, and you just go in and put the intersection, and it goes to the city, and then they know to go get the numbers and contact Liberty.
For
So,
us, I need to put the number on the pole.
but that should not be the residents' responsibility. I think the residents should be able to report the location, and then we can go out and get the number.
I think it'd be much more efficient if they could just look at the number on the pole. That's just my own
Yeah.
personal opinion.
I'm thinking that we are the ones paying the bill. Liberty owns the pole. If they tell us that it's out, if they'll report it to us, I think the least we can do is get the number off the pole. Because it's been the policy that, well, they need to give us the number. So we're wasted $21,000 because people don't call in numbers on poles.
Can we request a map from Liberty with all the poles marked and numbered so we can keep in the office?
We've never had a resident not give us a number since we put that in.
What is our current process for,
New ones,
just notifying,
Must not be any.
what is the process?
they, if somebody calls into the office and tells us that there's a street light out, Craig or whoever, and they tell them, well, where's it at? And there's a number on there. Can you get us that number? And they've always come back with us with the number. And then what I do is I take the number, I have a specific contact at Liberty that does nothing but street lighting, and I give it, and I email him location and number, and it gets taken care of.
The problem is, we are just depending on people calling in and saying, hey, the street light's out. We need to get some kind of procedure because we have over 60 and we still have a good third of the city left to check. So,
Not all of them are on intersections though.
no,
No,
but
they'll-
these are public
they will go
ones.
through
These are not
those.
people's.
They will go
backyards.
through that list, and they have to divide out whether it is a public or a private street light, because we do have some private ones that individuals own or.
These are all right-of-way poles, so we didn't go to any, like up by the houses in the backyards.
No, there's some that
There's some
are
that
not
are on right of ways too.
on right of ways that are not ours. And so
Okay.
that's the only ones that are gonna fix are the public.
If half of them belong to us, that's still over 30.
Oh, it's not gonna be near that, but I'm just saying, there are private ones. They eliminate those out of that list, and then
I'm just saying we've got to come up with a policy. Because like say, Rick, what's our procedure? We need procedure.
they just gave you.
No, that's what we do when people call. We need a procedure to check these streetlights. Because it's not the public's fault that we're wasting $10,000, $20,000 a year. And we know it's more than that because we haven't even went to all of them. It's not the public. We can't say, well, nobody called in this light that's halfway down the block on Pennell, so it's not our fault. We're the ones paying the bill, and they're out. So we've got to come up with some kind of procedure to inventory these lights. Because otherwise, we're just throwing people's money away. We have a procedure in place when somebody calls it in, but we don't, I don't know if it should be Liberty checking them. I don't know if it should be us checking them. I don't know whose responsibility that falls on. Should
I
Liberty?
guess we could hire another employee to go around every night and check the street lights.
Or we could just give somebody a half a day off once a quarter and have them check them at night. We don't have to get dramatic about it. There's ways you can do things. We can't just waste money and not have them because we don't want to come up with some kind of procedure. But we can figure that out later. In the meantime, we're gonna go finish the next 2 nights probably. And I'll get them to you and we'll see how many of them. But hopefully people will start noticing a difference and get some lights. That's all I have.
Thank you. Nothing else? I have nothing.
Nothing.
That finished?
Nothing.
Rick?
No, sir.
Bob?
No, sir.
Holly? Mr. Talley? Lena?
No, sir.
Crystal? Steve?
No, sir.
Jay?
No, sir.
Assistant Chief?
No, sir.
Very well then, we'll go to new business. Holly?
No, sir.
Bob?
No.
Rick?
No, sir.
No. You gonna talk about this thing when you get to you?
Which one?
Ari Smith?
I can.
Okay. I have nothing then.
Nothing.
David? Mayor. Walter?
No, sir.
Carol? Mr. Talley?
No.
Lane?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not better. Just letting everyone know, the opening for election signups is December the 10th at 8 a.m. It goes through December 31st at 5 p.m. The 5 seats up this time will be the mayor, Holly, Rick, David, and Lenore. Those are the 4 seats that will be open for election.
December 10th?
December 10th at 8 a.m.
1 week from today. Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
And we will enter through the front door of City Hall, correct? And there will be a sign-in sheet.
Have a sign-up sheet up front. I have instructed all the employees that as people walk in, a City Hall employee is to check them in, name what they are going to be running for and the time that they got here, and people will be seen in the order that they arrived. But not until 8 o'clock.
What's for breakfast?
Anything on that?
What else you got?
That's all.
Crystal? Steve?
The mayor and I met a month or so ago with Ari Smith, and it's in reference to adding a bathroom there at Memorial Park, hooking it onto the pavilion that's already there on the east side of it. And so we went down through the list and we wanted it to mimic what we just built out at Lakeside. So it is a split face block. Will not have a storage room in it, but it will have a utility chase between, so it'd be 2 bathrooms, a utility chase between it. Electrical work, everything. We would do part of the sewer work to get sewer over to the building, of course, and they'd have to attach to it, put a grinder pump in there to get it out to the street, so 178,000.
Yeah.
Their estimate.
$178,000. And I asked, when Steve gave me that, I asked him how many bedrooms it included.
Yeah, that's why I say you could build a house with a bath and a half at least.
Yep.
So anyway, we did get a quote to do that because we would like to have restrooms there at that pavilion. But that's a little bit exorbitant right now. This is in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
It's not just a little bit, it's a lot of it.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Jay? Chief? Very well. Next on the agenda is a closed session for revised Missouri Statute 610-21, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded.
I move we go into, sorry.
Go ahead.
I move we go into closed session to discuss the personal matters as listed in the statute.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer. This is a roll call vote to go into closed session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Carol Wolfers.
Yes.
Walter Hayes.
Yes.
David Byer.
Yes.
Donna Allen.
Yes.
Roger Spencer.
Yes.
Rick Flynn.
Yes.
Paul McAfee.
Sure.
Yeah.
Holly, did you answer?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Very well. We are now in closed session. We'll be back in open session as soon as the closed session is finished. During our closed session per revised Missouri statute 61021, hiring, firing, disciplining, promoting, or particular employees of the public government body with personal information about the employees discussed or recorded. There was no vote taken, no action taken. There was mostly only discussion. Now, is there any other business for the council?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by David Pyle, second by Roger Spencer, that we adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 8 in the affirmative. We are adjourned.
We're out of here.
And we'd like to thank the police department for being here to wait for the second thing.